We're going to try a deck building challenge, and that deck building challenge revolves around, can you build a deck with only the hero cards and then basic cards, so the basic gray cards in the game? The rule book for customization simply says that you can pick one aspect and that your deck has to include all of the hero cards, so we're going to include those, so all of Captain Marvel's hero cards. And then it says you can only include basic cards and or cards from that aspect that you choose. So you can choose any aspect, but we're not going to use it. We're only going to use basic cards. For this deck challenge, I decided to use Captain Marvel and only basic cards. Here's the deck build. First, take all of the Captain Marvel hero cards. Next, your resources, 1 copy of Strength, Energy, and Genius. Next, we're going to throw 2 copies of Helicarrier in, 1 copy of the Avengers Mansion, 1 copy of the Quinn Carrier, 1 copy of Mockingbird, Nick Fury, Lockjaw, 1 copy of Downtime and Endurance, 2 copies of Enhanced Reflexes, 2 copies of Enhanced Physique. These 2 are going to provide different resources. One is going to be the energy resource, the other one's going to be the physical resource. Next, we have 3 copies of Emergency, 3 copies of Haymaker, and then finally 3 copies of Tenacity. This deck, once I got into building it, really revolves around card drawing. It's going to be an extreme sort of strategy for this deck. It works really, really well. So think of it this way. We're going to just keep drawing cards and drawing cards and drawing cards, and it allows you a lot of versatility. It allows you to get the cards that you need. So one of the cool combos that I've never played before is using Captain Marvel and the Quinn Carrier. So Captain Marvel has this rechannel action, so you can spend an energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel and draw a card. So you are going to mix that with the Quinn Carrier. You can only play the Quinn Carrier if there's an Avenger out. Well, Captain Marvel is an Avenger. What you can do is, as a resource, you can exhaust the Quinn Carrier, get a wild resource. Then what you can do is take that wild resource, turn it into an energy resource, and funnel it through Captain Marvel. It's going to heal her for 1 point of damage, and you can draw a card. What's great is you can do this every single turn. So once the Quinn Carrier's out, you have this healing / card drawing ability. So that's going to form one of the foundations of this deck, and that's card drawing. Here's 2 more examples of the card drawing madness that occurs in this deck. So once you flip to your alter ego, you can use this action to choose a player to draw a card. Of course, go ahead and pick yourself. That's A-okay. Secondarily, we also have the Alpha Flight Station, and this is great because you can exhaust it and gain 1 card, or 2 if you're in your alter ego form. So it doesn't matter which form you're in. You can flip back and forth once you have the Alpha Flight Station out. So you have an example of yet even more card drawing abilities. So Captain Marvel on each side, both her hero and alter ego form, has card drawing capabilities mixed with the Alpha Flight Station. More card drawing mayhem ensues. Literally throw 1 copy of the Avengers Mansion in, and then the 3 copies of the Photonic Blast. All 4 of these cards have card drawing capabilities. The Avengers Mansion is the most basic. Simply exhaust it to draw a card. Photonic Blast is a little bit different. You get to deal 5 points of damage, and if you used an energy resource to trigger this card or to pay for it, you can also draw a card. So as you've seen with the other previous video segments, there's this theme of card drawing, and it gets really, really crazy. Multiple times while doing the playtesting on this, it wasn't uncommon to have 9. Even one time I had 10 cards in my hand, just by doing these basic sort of tips and tricks. Once it starts getting mixed together, you have a huge hand, and it gives you a lot of play potential and power. Let's throw another card drawing ally into the mix. This one's Nick Fury. One of his potent abilities is you can put him out and to draw 3 cards. So think about all the other stuff we've already put together. It allows you to draw a massive amount of cards. Here's yet another example. To get this deck moving in the right direction, and this is one of the rare times that I suggest using 2 Helicarriers. I think in this deck it really makes a lot of sense. So I did put 2 copies of Helicarrier into the deck. Obviously you can only have 1 out at a time. But what you can do is get this to sort of prime the deck. Some of the opening combos that you want to use, like getting the Avengers Mansion out and Quinn Carrier, you need just a little bit extra resource generation, so the Helicarrier is a great way to do that by reducing the cost of those resources that are coming out. Another thing I recommend to this deck is having cards that have the energy resource in the bottom corner. The reason why you want that is that you can trigger a couple of your sort of potent attack cards, and these are going to be your energy channel. Once your energy channel is fully filled and you have tokens on it, you can inflict 10 points of damage, which is pretty wild in one hit. The other thing is the Photonic Blast. As we showed before, if you use an energy resource while you're playing it, you get card drawing. So if you look at this stuff right here, the Haymaker you can use to do 3 points of damage. Alternatively, you can throw it as a resource to trigger one of your events. Enhanced Reflexes is in here to specifically just generate energy resources. And then Emergency is great. You can kind of whittle down some of those scheming events. It's not very versatile, but what you can do is you can use it to fuel those other abilities. This is about survivability. Here's how you keep her alive. 1 copy of Downtime, 1 copy of Endurance, and then 2 copies of Cosmic Flight. You can get rid of Cosmic Flight to prevent 3 points of damage. So these are some cards that are pretty easy to use and they keep her alive. Now remember, in conjunction with using these cards to keep her alive, she's going to have that rechannel ability, so you're going to keep pumping your Quinn Carrier into her to heal 1 point of damage every turn and draw a card. So you don't need a lot of damage mitigation in this deck, but these couple cards go a long way, and she can stay in hero form quite a long time while you're playing and keep drawing those cards. So it's a great combo. When you're only using basic cards, you start kind of hitting some limitations on what you can do. So this combo I kind of created, I've never done this before. It's a little bit bizarre, but if you use 3 copies of Tenacity, this allows you to spend a physical resource to ready your hero. So you can use Captain Marvel a couple times. Maybe you're thwarting, maybe you're attacking, to whittle down the enemy or whittle down those schemes. Then in conjunction, you can simply tap and exhaust this Enhanced Physique card to generate the physical resource that you need to trigger Tenacity. In addition to that, if you're trying to get some of your heavier cards out, you can use those physical resources to bring out, the Helicarrier, let's say, or the Avengers Mansion, or the Quinn Carrier. So you have a little bit extra resources in this deck. One really solid technique when playing this deck is damage output, specifically using Energy Channel. There are 2 copies of this card in the deck that comes with the hero cards. And since you're cycling through the deck so quickly, you basically have one out all the time. You can only have one of the energy channels out at a time anyway, but it's basically filled and you can fill it really quickly. It doesn't take very long to fill it, and then you can hit the villain really hard with it. So when I was playing this, you got into a point where you were filling and recharging those so quickly, then you blast the enemy, it goes in your discard pile, then you can throw the next one out, and you just keep going and going and going. In conjunction with that, these energy absorption cards are fantastic for filling the energy channel, or you can use them just to throw down this Photonic Blast. You can pay for the whole thing, and you get to draw a card at the same time. So in this deck, there's a ton of energy resources, so you can constantly be filling up and then blasting things. It's really fun. It's kind of strange. I have to admit, it feels a little bit limited just because there's not a lot of basic cards at this point. All of this whole deck was built up to the Black Widow expansion, so I have a couple cards from the Black Widow expansion in it. So as the game grows, I think some of these basic strategies, you can really flesh them out, so to speak. But I thought it was worth a shot. I thought it was worth a try to put this together. So one of the bonuses, you can draw a ton of cards. It's a little bit restrictive when it comes to threat mitigation. The damage output seems like it would be kind of small and kind of wimpy, but since you're cycling through your deck so fast, you're constantly throwing Photonic Blasts and energy channels at the villain, so that's kind of fun as well. Something else that was kind of unexpected is using the Tenacity card. Is something I haven't really used much in the past. So being able to sort of ready your hero multiple times, obviously you have to burn the card when you do it, but it allows you to do an extra thwarting action or an extra attack, so you can whittle down those enemies and those opponents. So to sum it up, I think it's fun. And I encourage everybody to try this. Maybe try a different hero and try to put these decks together. I thought it was fun, and it was worth a shot. One of the final sort of combo notes, and I highly recommend playing the Quinn Carrier with Captain Marvel. This is something I had not done before, but putting these two cards together is really fun. You can heal her a little bit and draw a card. So I thought that was a really cool synergy. So I highly recommend in any of your Captain Marvel decks, go ahead and throw the Quinn Carrier in. I want to thank you for joining me for this video. Hopefully it kind of sparked some creativity in you, and go ahead and try one of these basic card building deck strategies where it's just basic cards in your hero cards. There's a lot of different heroes at this point, so this combination may or may not work. It might work even better with some of the other heroes. I just kind of did a Captain Marvel because I wanted to try to do a sort of high capacity, high draw deck, and I thought it would be kind of a cool combo in conjunction with the basic cards. So once again, thank you for your time, and as always, have fun gaming.